Now Splunk can also be used for event logging. So for the remainder of this video, I'm going to show you how we can use Splunk to log events. Now Splunk can log many kinds of events. We can have remote events, we can have local events, we can have Windows events, and here what you see is you have the Windows event viewer, and I'm showing you the Windows logs where we have the application logs, the security logs, the setup logs, the system logs, and some other logs that we have in here such as the application and the servlet logs. Now any of these logs can be monitored by Splunk because all we have to do is just export them as a log file, and then all of a sudden we're monitoring these events. So what we're going to do here is we're going to monitor the application events, the security events, and the system events, and then maybe the setup events as well. So these are the events that we're going to monitor. So now what we need to do is we need to go into Splunk and set these up. Now, if we want to monitor these events, they are basically a data source. So we're going to have to navigate down to the add data and add them as a data source. So basically, it's like adding any kind of external data, except in this case, the data is internal, local to this machine, and it just so happens to be, in this case, Windows event logs. So to do that, there's a variety of ways that we can get this set up. Now, the easiest way to do this is just to add data as a data source, but we can do it other ways as well, such as we can import it in as external data. And as I mentioned, the logs and the events that we can monitor can be internal or external. So let's do it this way. Let's go under Settings, and under Data, let's go under Data Input. Now here what we can do is we can specify our event data for our Splunk data source. So we have to give it a second to come up, and once it comes up, all we have to do is set it up as a local input. So I'm going to navigate down to where it says Local Inputs, and I have here under tags local event log collection. Now this is the one that we're going to set up, but you can also see all of the other events that we can actually set up within Splunk. There are quite a few. So here what we're going to do is we're just going to navigate over to the left, and we're going to log our local event log collection. So let me click on the link to do that, and we should see our local host come up. And then when our local host comes up, we can specify exactly what we want to log from our local host. So we'll give localhost a second to come up, and then we can specify our event log, our system log, and any security logs. So here's localhost, and you can see the available inputs. We have the application, security, and setup, also system. So we'll select those now. And as you scroll down, you see just a plethora of other logs that we can use and we can monitor within Splunk. But here we're just going to log 3. We are going to log the application, security, and system events. So once we set them up, we're almost done. So now if you take a look here on this page, we have event log, and we have the collection name, localhost, and if you give this a click, it shows the events that we're logging. Now all we need to do is set this up as an input, because that's all this is at this point, is we need just to add data as the input and just monitor it. So basically we're done setting this up as a source. So now we can search on it and report on it just like any other source. So I'm going to click on the search and reporting application and navigate down to data summary, because what it's going to do is we're going to connect to the last data source. But if we go to data summary, we get to see the new events that we've just logged or we've just added to log on. So under data summary, we have the sources and we have the hosts. We're going to wait for it to populate. And once we click on sources, you're going to see the local host that we just set up. Now the local host, you should notice we have the application log, the security log, and the system log. These are the 3 sources that we just set up. So we get to choose 1 or 2 or 3. We're going to pick applications here and monitor it. And like I mentioned before, at this point, it's just another data source that we can actually perform searching on. We could look at events, we could look at properties, and we could, perform advanced searching. So it's basically kind of just a regular data source now that we can actually just do a search on. So now I'm just doing a new search, and we have the source. You could tell it's the source for the application log, and we should see the system events come up. and the patterns and the statistics. So in this video, you learned how to capture events, specifically internal events, local events, with the Windows logs.